Senator Ted Cruz is here. Welcome. Morning, Senator. How you doing?
Good morning, Mark. Great to be with you.
Great to be with you. Let's do some senatorial things and then some political things, and let's say a word of love to some of the folks streaming into DFW for the NRA convention. Let's talk a little Iran. You've been talking about Iran. You've never stopped talking about Iran. We'll pay attention to North Korea. That's great. The warming of relations is fantastic. But boy, Iran is the hornet's nest we got to pay some attention to. What a valuable moment of clarity from Prime Minister Netanyahu. So what should America do in absorbing that kind of fresh information? It's really just a reminder of how sinister that regime is.
Well, Mark, you're exactly right. Prime Minister Netanyahu's speech that he gave this week was extraordinary. It was dramatic. And it was unlike any speech I think that's ever been given by any head of state. I would very much encourage your listeners, go online, Google it, and watch it. It's worth seeing it firsthand. What Prime Minister Netanyahu described was an amazing, an incredible Israeli intelligence operation where the Mossad captured over 100,000 secret Iranian documents from Iran. And I mean, I'm sure they're going to make a movie out of this because it's an extraordinary operation. And Prime Minister Netanyahu walked through the mountain of lies that Iran had laid out, that they have been conducting for over 20 years, a secret program working hard to develop nuclear weapons, all the while lying and saying they weren't seeking nuclear weapons. There was no secret program. In fact, they said it would be against their religion for them to seek nuclear weapons. And then what Prime Minister Netanyahu did is one after the other on a PowerPoint behind him, he pulled up original Iranian documents. He pulled up original Iranian photographs. He pulled up original Iranian videos of their scientists trying very hard to develop nuclear weapons. The inevitable conclusion of all of that is the entire Obama-Iran deal was based on an edifice of lies, one lie after the other after the other. That the consequences of Obama's Iran deal is that we sent billions of dollars to the world's leading state sponsor of terrorism. And I think that the course before President Trump now is clear. The United States should withdraw immediately from the deal. We should reimpose crushing sanctions on Iran. We should work to get our allies to do the same. And we should make absolutely clear that under no circumstances will the Ayatollah Khamenei, a religious fanatic who chants death to America, under no circumstances will the Ayatollah be allowed to acquire nuclear weapons.
Let's stay on the international scene just for a second. I mean, if North Korea does anything else to make us at least, I don't want to be gullible. It's still North Korea. It's still Kim Jong-un. But doggone, if we're about to get 3 Americans back today as a show of goodwill, I want to take every molecule of goodwill at face value and never start to fawn and never start to pretend that all is well and right and roses and unicorns. But these are extremely promising days.
Well, it is certainly a positive development, and there's no doubt that in dealing with bullies and tyrants, strength is better than weakness. The unifying theme of the Barack Obama foreign policy was weakness and appeasement to all of our enemies, whether it was sending billions of dollars to Iran or showing enormous weakness to North Korea or enormous weakness to Cuba or enormous weakness to Venezuela. Obama managed to run the gamut. The Trump administration is quite rightly returning to a posture of U.S. foreign policy strength. I very much believe in peace through strength, and that has certainly gotten North Korea's attention. Now, we should also be mindful of history. Kim Jong-un and his father before him, Kim Jong-il, have demonstrated over and over and over again how willing they are to lie. They lied to Bill Clinton, and Bill Clinton fell for it just as gullibly as Barack Obama fell for it with Iran. And the result was they got the billions of dollars America allowed them to get and used it to develop nuclear weapons. So I think we need to continue to approach Kim Jong-un with deep, deep, deep skepticism. I believe he views keeping nuclear weapons as central to the security of his regime. And so I'll confess a great deal of skepticism that he's going to make meaningful concessions. But that being said, the most likely circumstance for him to make any concessions is facing American strength and resolve, and I think the Trump administration is doing the right thing by responding to him exactly with that.
With President Trump at the helm and a refreshed focus on a lot of things that we've been kind of mealy-mouthed even under Republican leadership, you noted, as we all did, the acquittal in the Kate Steinle killing, and what did that do to Kate's law, and is this something that sort of punctuates the urgency for the need for it?
Absolutely. That acquittal was heartbreaking. We know that Kate Steinle, a beautiful young California woman, 28 years old, was murdered standing on a California pier with her dad. It was an illegal alien who killed her, who had been in and out of this country over and over and over again. He was a repeat felon. He'd been in and out of prison over and over and over again. And the revolving door we had kept letting him in and letting him in and letting him in. Kate's Law, I'm the author of Kate's Law. I introduced it in the Senate. Kate's Law provides that any illegal alien who is an aggravated felon who has repeatedly enters the country illegally faces a mandatory minimum prison sentence. If Kate's Law had been on the books, Kate Steinle would still be alive because that illegal alien, that murderer, would have been in prison instead of on that pier murdering that young woman. Unfortunately, what we're seeing right now is we're seeing the Democrats filibustering Kate's Law. The position of today's Washington Democrats is they support illegal immigration even when it concerns violent criminals like the murderer who killed Kate Steinle. They can't even get behind common sense law and order provisions to keep Americans safe. And I think that's a big part of the reason why we have a Republican president and Republican majorities in both houses, because the Washington Democrats have lost touch. They're out of touch with most Americans.
I know we'll be talking early and often. I appreciate it. Thank you, sir. Appreciate you being here.
God bless.